Hello everyone, welcome back to the Black Nationalist channel. Coming back at you live with some important information today. So I really want to talk about this issue with Russia and China and how they are shoring off ties amid maneuvering over Ukraine. So I think it's probably good to speak on this discussion because everyone is talking about World War III. Right now, it is trending on Twitter, this World War III. So I want to dive into it right now because what took place today in Russia was that you had Chinese Communist Party's foreign policy chief Wang Yi. He had a meeting with Russia President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, which happened, of course, yesterday, you might want to say. But right here in this article that I am reading, it says that Russia and China showcased their deepening ties Wednesday in a series of meetings closely watched for signs that Beijing might offer the Kremlin stronger support for its war in Ukraine. Now, we all been hearing about this war in Ukraine and Russia. I might say something that might offend or whatever the case may be, which I do apologize. But the way how I look at it is that Russia is just defending itself against America, whereas America is using Ukraine to go up against Russia. That's exactly how I am feeling. Good afternoon, PD Chicago, B1. So that is how I am feeling in regards to this Russia versus Ukraine war. That's what I feel. So I want to continue to speak upon this issue is that while Wang, as I may mention, who is the Chinese Communist Party foreign policy chief, Wang, he said that the Chinese-Russia relations aren't directed against any third country and certainly can't be subjected to pressure from any third country, basically from the West. So the U.S., they cannot force them to say, okay, you're not going to pressure me to go up against this other country here. You're not. If anything, the U.S. should be more so worried about Russia and China linking together because, see, China, they do a lot of this manufacturing, which we rely heavy upon them because America did used to have a lot of manufacturing jobs. But until President, his name, Clinton signed NAFTA and GATT, which completely deindustrialized our country, that is why we rely so heavily upon China. And that's why China is a super world power. You might as well better just say that because they own our wealth. They own our wealth. We owe a lot of money to China. So the article further goes on to speak about this here, which I wanted to narrow in. China has pointedly refused to criticize the invasion of Ukraine while echoing Moscow's claim that the U.S. and NATO were to blame for provoking Kremlin. See, just like that's exactly why I have said that I was feeling that this war with Russia and Ukraine is because America, seeing that it does not want to direct target hit Russia like it did in the Cold War. They don't want to do that all over again. So what they will use is Ukraine as by proxy to go after Russia. That's exactly how I was always feeling. And then this is why I say that Russia is just protecting its people against America. The article further goes on to say the government in Beijing also has blasted the sanctions imposed on Russia after it invaded Ukraine. Now, there with this invasion, I remember reading elsewhere that Russia was already in Ukraine. They did not, as they say, invaded, but they was already in Ukraine, and just that America took it upon themselves to call it an invasion. I remember reading an article about that somewhere on my Facebook page. I don't have the article in front of me, but I do want to further say that we're not ready. America is not ready if a World War III were to pop off. You want to know why I say we're not ready? Because America is teaching men to no longer be masculine. While in China and Russia, they have their men fighting in wars. I mean, practicing for war. They have their men thinking like men. In China, I believe they have banned any movies that emasculate men. They don't want any type of movies that's going to show men being emasculated. They don't want that in China. And sure enough, they don't want that in Russia as well. You see, we have articles we have articles on Ebony and British Vogue of our black men being dressed in dresses or being in a submissive position and carrying on. And then we all know that white men has always been limp-wristed. They always have been. And right now they're trying to get our men to be the same way about them not being masculine. So how in the world are we going to go to war with these two world powers? And we have some, sad to say it, some 65 men. I have to say it. Our men, they are not men anymore. The women, the half majority of them, they wouldn't even be able to make it if they had to go to the front line on the war with China versus Russia. They would not make that, and they know they wouldn't. Half the time when they do get into the army, they sleep with the army men so that they can get pregnant and get themselves out. Yeah, I said it. They go in there to have themselves nothing but sex with these men, and then they come right on out, and then they collect the check from the government. That's exactly what they do. So we have these two nations, these two individuals, China and Russia. Okay, they are talking hand to hand with each other. There's a video that I saw on Twitter this morning that showed China president and Russia president. They was both making crepes or pancakes or whatever you want to call it. They was showing them with chefs and they was just making these pancakes. So it's like, okay, we need to take this seriously. America need to take this seriously. But what America is trying to do, push down our throats, is LGBTQ. They're trying to push that down our throats, which really makes our people more limp-wristed. It really makes our people even more weak, because I'm not going to shy away from saying this, is that in the LGBTQ community, you have more men who are feminine, who are feminized, than you do have the ones who try to put on a masculine role. You have too many who are feminized, and they may try to pretend that they are some soldier. They may try to pretend that they can do just like a straight man, but really they can't, because they have the mindset of a woman. They try to emulate a woman. They try to think like a woman in so many ways. So therefore, they are not going to showcase that masculinity which is needed. Okay. In America, something like this in the past would not have flown over any other president. It wouldn't have fly. See, this is the reason why I believe they wanted Trump out of the White House, because Trump wouldn't have allowed this mess to go on. But they knew to put Biden, a puppet, Biden who is weak, who is in old age, who's probably facing dementia. I wouldn't be surprised the way how he behaves. Okay, they wanted this man Trump out of the office in order for them to have this. They want to do a massive reset, I believe. They want to do a massive reset in the world. They want to make everything on one plane, which is the wealthy versus the poor. No middle ground. No middle class at all. It's the wealthy versus the poor. And we all know exactly how that goes. There's this movie, I think it's called Maida. I believe that's what it's called. And it talks about how the wealthy built themselves a home like out in outer space, and how they left the planet for the poor to tear each other apart. And then you had these people, this one guy who plays as Jason Bourne, who played in that movie, and he was fighting alongside with other freedom fighters to try to get on this planet, this man-made planet that the rich people have built for themselves out in space. So it's almost like they really are trying to, movies are imitating life, but they really are trying to push this rich versus poor. This is exactly what they're trying to push. But see, here's the thing. The people are going to get tired of the government. And when I say people, the masses, they are going to get tired of the government, and they are eventually going to turn on the government. Eventually, they are going to turn on the government. And when that does happen, it will be a little bit too late. It will be too late. See, I sell bug out supplies, and it's not really that much supported by our people, which is unfortunate. But we really need this, because that time is going to come when we're going to need food, and we are going to need the little bits that like the what else? We're going to need like your sleeping bag. You are going to need your toothbrush. You're going to need your medication. You're going to need money. You're going to need cash. Okay, on display. You need to have that on deck, because the time will come when the bank is not going to allow you to take any money out. All of that is coming. We should be seeing it. But see, America wants to distract us with so many foolish things. Like I said, this LGBTQ, because they keep pushing this down our throat. They want to distract us from what's important. Those throughout the world is pointing out things that are pouring out things that is beneficial to them in their country. And you are right, PD Chicago, MRAs. I sell MRAs as well. We need that as well. And I do sell them. I have some right in my apartment, and I want to continue to grow it so that I could get more into our people's hands, because this is needed. Drinking clean water filter, I sell that as well. Those clean water filter, those blue little things. And then I want to get the pump so that I could sell it too. So because we need to have this stuff on deck for women, sanitizers, all of that. We need to have all of that stock and ready. We need to have food ready. We need to have all of that ready, because things is looking very glim right now. Things are looking very bad. And instead of us focusing so much on the entertainment, because who cares about this Rihanna thing in the Super Bowl? Who cares about all these other people who's trying to distract us with mundane things? We need to be focused on making sure that we don't enter into a World War III. Or if we do enter into a World War III, what is it that we are doing for our families to keep ourselves safe? Do your family knows the layout of the land? This is why I'm so happy that my father took me and my brother and my mom out camping, so that we could know how to interact in the wild. And when we went camping, we had the tents. I sell tents as well. We had the tents. We had all of that. The sleeping bag, I sell the sleeping bags too. We had all of that to be out there in the woods. We actually had to get shovels, dig in the ground to use the restroom. That's how bad my father had us camping. He had us doing some real camping. And then when we went to go to take a shower, we had to go one of those outside little things. And it was kind of scary, and it would be cold, because you be going early in the morning to go to take your shower. It'd be very, very cold. Until as you got older, my mom was like, can we do cabins and stuff like that? Which is something that we ended up doing. But either way it goes, and when I was younger, we understood that. We understood between poison ivy. We understood how that looked. We knew exactly what you need to have in order to survive out there in the woods. Do many of our people understand how to live in the woods? No, they don't. But white people do. White people, they do that all the time. Black people, we really need to start thinking about this. Because we live in a controlled environment. The government put us in a controlled environment, what they call it the ghetto. That's what they put us in. The government created it, and they put us in the ghetto in these urban cities here. That's where they have put us and placed us. So a lot of our people have not had the luxury of going out of town. If you was to ask the average black person in Europe on your block, have they been outside of the city, and they will tell you no. So when it comes to this mess, when the food supplies run low, because that's when people are going to get crazy. When the gas supplies run low, that's when people are going to get crazy. We have seen this before. When Atlanta, when it snowed a little bit, people went all out of their minds because they didn't know what to do, because they never had that situation happen to them before. They never had that situation happen to them before. So they became nervous, and then they started buying stuff that was crazy. During the COVID, people was buying toilet tissue and large amount, and for what? We don't understand that as to why in the world they was buying all this toilet paper. You was buying it for what? Who told you to buy all this amount? I mean, people was clearing out stuff like crazy. And then it was just madness. So just imagine, because see, America has never had a country that put bombs on different communities to blow up different states and cities. Well, the black community, we did have bombs placed upon us in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we as black people, we understood that. We know how that feels. But as far as with everybody else in the white neighborhoods, they never experienced that mess. So if China and Russia get sick and tired of United States trying to meddle in their business, is trying to have NATO to meddle in their business, trying to tell them how they should move. And then next thing you know, we start seeing these planes coming all over here, because we already got spy balloons just looking around, and the United States trying to figure out certain where nuclear heads might be located, just spying on America's citizens. Okay, that is exactly what these people are doing. So if they want to come and bring in their killing planes, it's over for us. It will be a little bit too late. It's going to be a little bit too late as to what's going on. So family, we have to get ourselves together. This is no joke. These people are already meeting with each other. They are already looking like they're being buddy with each other, China and Russia. They are already looking like they are being buddies with each other. So this is not a game. We really need to have a strategy. We need to have an exit plan, and it needs to be executed. We need to have a strategy, an exit plan, and it needs to be executed properly, especially if you have families. Now, I do know that once I get more supplies for my because it's called ericasbugoutSupplies.com. Once I do get more supplies, I'm going to make sure that it's being posted, that I reference it even more so that I could sell it, because I really want our people to have this, because our people don't have a bug out bag. Our people don't even know what a bug out bag is. They don't know what it is and what it involves. I sell masks. I sell one of those good hazmat masks. That's what I sell. I sell them good ones. So if there's any type of debris or anything like that, if the air becomes unbreathable, you are able to breathe through it. That's what I have. And it cost me $80. So I sell the good. So I have the good stuff. I don't have cheap stuff. But once I do get in more supplies, I will be making it known so that I can sell it. Because this is not a game. This is not a game at all. We're already facing individuals in the Supreme Court over Section 230 who wants to change the way how we interact with the internet. We are already facing that, which is going to crumple down on free speech. It's going to crumple down on free speech in the end. And it's going to affect our voices even more so. That's who voices that is going to affect. So I just wanted to come on here and to share some news that I did see that I felt was very important for me to talk about. I'm going to continue to speak upon news that is happening in the U.S. and also outside the world. And of course, I'm going to speak upon white supremacy. But when I see something that's going to affect us with white supremacy, because that's what it is. See, white people have a history of fighting each other. It doesn't matter what. They have a history of fighting each other. If one person can't get their way, then they are going to go to war. They don't care who gets hurt in between. And if you have studied white supremacy history, you will understand that white people are very deadly against each other. It gets no uglier than that. Ever since they came out of those Caucasus Mountains, they brought about nothing but bloodshed and darkness. That is what they have brought about upon this earth. Bloodshed and darkness. They brought nothing else. And so I'm trying to get our people to see that, hey, we really need to do something about this, that we really need to know how to maneuver when it comes to these type of situations that we are facing. A World War III could pop off. It may not pop off this year. It may not pop off next year, but it's surely going to pop off real soon, because we see the buildup. The buildup is happening. We having two large nations coming together, China and Russia coming together. The presidents of these countries, these communist countries, are coming together, and America is not in the lead, is don't have a leg to stand on to say that we can overtake you, we can overpower you. America don't have that leverage anymore. America, she doesn't. China is buying up all of Africa. Russia as well. They're trying to kick the United States out. That's exactly what they're trying to do, and they're doing a damn good job at it. All right, so that's all I have, and thank you for listening, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.